All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the podcast. This is Paul Gough here. We are live in England, beaming all across the world. We're on Facebook right now. We are on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn. I think we're on Instagram, and this will be obviously placed on the podcast as well. And we're talking to a very, very special guest today over in the west coast of the US. We're headed back to America. We've had some wonderful guests recently from the United Kingdom. We're headed back to the west coast, to the Bay Area of San Francisco. We're going to get to Michael Chin in a minute, who's got an amazing story to share with you. He leveled up his workshops recently. I know many people do workshops, and they're a fantastic tool for lead generation and new customers in your business. Michael took his workshops to a completely new level with a concept that I think you need to know more about. So we're going to talk to Michael about that and his meteoric rise as a cash PT, entering, I think, his fourth or fifth year in business, onto hiring his third PT as we speak to him today. First, we've got some housekeeping. Thank you to the sponsors of the show, PT Everywhere. They are just an amazing company to work with, both as a partnership that we're in with PT Everywhere, but almost every clinic owner that I speak to these days seems to be heading that way. So if you're looking for a EMR system, that is the company to talk to. At the very least, go and give them a call, get in touch with them, do a demo with them, find out what they can do to help you grow your practice. If you're looking for an EMR, I know many people have troubles and tribulations, if you like, with their EMR, and PT Everywhere for me is, to this point, it's been the best that I've heard, and the feedback that I've seen from anybody that uses it is very, very good. So head over to pteverywhere.com and find out more about what those guys can do to help you. So thank you to those guys for sponsoring the show. And when I get into partnerships with people, obviously I'm very selective of who I will get into into bed with, if you like. But the purpose is so that we can continue to bring big events. Over the last few years, we've put on some of the biggest events that the PT community has ever seen. People like Marcus Lemonis, Damon John in the US. We've had Iron Cowboy, James Lawrence. We've had big names in the United Kingdom, whether it's AP McCoy, Frank Bruno, John Barnes. We've got Robbie Fowler in a few weeks. All huge names that are coming to our events. And it's the sponsors and it's the vendors that pay for them. So thank you to PT Everywhere. And my partnership with those guys and others around the PT global community allows us to put on the big events that you look forward to coming to. The next big event is happening in London. We've got PPM Live. The European edition is taking place 7th, 8th, and 9th. Just about sold out for that one. We're well over 100 already. Robbie Fowler, the former Liverpool and England footballer, is going to be our headline speaker. We've got a guy called Javino McLean, who's the most inspirational guy I've seen on Instagram for a long, long time. He runs a fitness facility in Manchester. He's going to be speaking on the Sunday. 100 business owners, all about marketing, all about sales, all about how to grow your practice in a very turbulent economy. There's an election being announced in England, just what we need. A load more crap and negativity and insecurity and whatever else going on in the country, but we're going to get past all of that with a great weekend in London, June 7th, 8th, and 9th. So if you are anywhere around the United Kingdom, Europe, we've got people coming in from Spain and Denmark. Even the Scots are coming in. We've got some Northern Irish. We've got some Republic of Ireland coming in as well. So come and say hello to us. And we've got a clinic owner from Australia, 4 or 5 coming over from America. We've got a long flight, Jason Han coming over from LA. We've got Carrie Jose coming in from Boston. We've got Wong Tran coming in from Miami. And we've got, off the top of my head, Jamie Bouvet coming in from Denver, Colorado as well. So we've got some international guests heading our way to London this summer. Now, if you can't make London, the next big one's going to happen in the US, in Jersey. Head over to paulgough.com/Jersey to find out more about that event. It's taking place 29th and 30th. We'll have about 100 people there. I've also got a special PT Scale Success event running alongside my mastermind event. So if you're interested, paulgough.com/Jersey. If you're trying to scale your business, Michael is the poster boy, if you like, for what we're about and what we've been able to help him achieve over the last few years. So pay attention to this podcast. If you're interested in scaling, getting past you as being the main provider, or trying to get to your second, third, or fourth clinic, sell the clinic, license the clinic, franchise the clinic, I'm pretty certain that we can help you across this weekend get started on the right path for that. 29th and 30th of June. It's not for new businesses. You definitely need to be in the flow. You probably need to have been in business for a year or two and stuck. You could be profitable, but stuck. You could be unprofitable. As long as you're stuck or you're trying to make your way towards second, third, fourth provider or second, third, and fourth clinic, then the PT Scale Success event is for you. It's taking place in Jersey. So In England, ppmliveuk.com is the page to register. And if you're coming to the US event on June 29th and 30th, it's paulgoff.com/jersey. Alternatively, just send an email to paul@paulgoff.com and we'll give you all of the details. We'll jump on the phone with you. So, right, that's my housekeeping. Thank you to PT Everywhere. I've mentioned all of our upcoming events that are taking place. Again, a reminder, we do the events because we like to see you. We like to meet people in person. There are many people who do what I do, who like to hide behind a podcast. They have a fancy studio or they have some wonderful thing going on. All good, but we like to get out there and meet people and travel around the world and say hello to the listeners. So we put these events on for you to bring together what I believe to be the most special community. There are many out there, but this one is definitely different. Most PTs are too cool for school. They are 99 out of 100 PTs who are running a business think that they are too clever, too good, too skilled for these types of things. But it shouldn't come as a surprise to you that 96% of businesses go bust. So please, if you are a little bit different and you realize that you need to be part of a community and business skills do make the difference, these types of events are definitely for you. Michael, your turn. Over to you. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Awesome intro. Yeah. Looking forward to Jersey. I will be going now with one of our staff members, so it'll be his first time to your event, and really looking forward to that as well. Yeah.
It's cool that you're bringing a staff member, and we always say, you know, it's great to get started with the events, and obviously many people do arrive in our world with themselves. They're a solo practitioner, and then before we know it, we've blinked and we're with somebody like Michael for 2 or 3 years, and he's got how many staff now? 7, 8 staff?
5
staff with another one on the way.
Yeah.
So we're on the way to building real leverage in not just a business, but in life. It's very difficult to achieve anything if you're trying to do it on your own. Now, before I go any further, I was just telling Michael off air about what we've created now. We've found this thing somehow. Some of the best ideas, they stumble upon us. Michael is the very first entrance or person, if you like, to be indoctrinated into the Hall of Fame. Now, I'm going to tell you where this came from. We were talking to a client recently, and we said, "Look, let's have some fun. You're on the podcast. You're in the Hall of Fame, if you like." And I thought, no, it's not the Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Fame, because we put most of our most successful clients on this podcast. And many of us tell us that they started listening to the podcast and then they arrived at a workshop, or then they arrived on a webinar or whatever it was, and the rest is history. And it's amazing to think that full circle, like 2 or 3 years later, we can put you on the podcast and share your story. So I think it's the Hall of Fame now. Every time that we have a successful guest who has been in the pole world for a few years, you are officially entered, Michael, as the very first person in the Hall of Fame. And we're going to start asking people who in our world should be put forward for entrance into the Hall of Fame. I don't know how we're going to reward you or recognize you with an award, a physical thing coming to your office, but we'll figure out something. But you are officially the very first person into the Hall of Fame. So how does that make you feel, Michael?
I have very special. We'll start clearing out the wall space. I think I have a good place where that plaque will go. Yep. Maybe like a gold figure of your head with a little thing at the bottom.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Just tell me what you want. Note to marketing team. Yeah. Client expectations have now gone through the roof. So we'll look into that for you, Michael.
Thank you.
So tell us about your story, then let's go all the way back. Obviously, we're in the Bay Area. We're in the west coast of San Francisco. And what I love about the story that you've got, it's very similar to Will Harlow, whose podcast I did recently. It was an amazing episode, guy from England. He was told that he'd have to wait 7 years before he could expect a promotion in his in the corporate job he had, basically in the NHS. And it's a very similar story with you, that you wanted to avoid climbing the traditional corporate ladder. It was almost a fuck this, I haven't got time to wait, I'm going to go off and do my own thing. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, I was working in some other kind of sports ortho clinics for 5 years, and I think it came to the point that where I think everyone has that itch where I would just want to grow and kind of create and really expand my thinking, learning, and do this on my own, and even being a part of someone else's company and maybe having some leadership ownership wouldn't fulfill that. It was their kind of baby, so to speak, or their ways of doing things. And even the model overall, I just didn't feel like, as a PT side practitioner, wasn't maximizing my skill and my abilities with kind of that high volume style. So it came to the final decision with, I guess, some encouragement from the wife, which is great as well. Just like, tired of hearing you talk about it. What's the date? I'm like, okay, let's do it. And you know, I started off 100 square foot in the gym corner, you know, just kind of minimalist, so to speak. And it's funny, you're talking about, oh, you know, been in our community for, you know, 5 years, or business in 5 years or something. It's been longer, but partly because I think we would say business for 4 years, so to speak, but I was in business when I started on my own 1 year, 4 years in a row, you know, or, you know, same thing over and over, doing that solo thing, just treating a lot, phone calls. And I, you know, finally, you know, with enough of the coaching and group, and just like finally got some staff. And that's when we really started to grow. So 2021, once we started hiring and leverage, as we talk about people doing things, is when we started to get more staff, PTs. So I'd say in the last 3 years was when we really started to look like a business, a true business, not just me, you know, doing everything.
So you came into my world when? Probably what? 2017, 2018.
Yeah, end of 17, 18. Yeah, so early 18. So it was kind of that. I just remember all the coaching calls. I put an ad out for an admin, and just like, oh yeah, I'm too busy. Made the excuse, right? And so sometimes you just need that continuous reminding service and hearing the other people, and finally it kind of kicked it through the door, and that's when we started to really go, you know. So I think that's our first one, right? When you're like, okay, this person is providing value. I could do this.
What was your first step with those? Was it the accelerator program or business growth? Maybe?
I joined right into it was your sales event. That's what got us, the December sales boot camp. Yep. Oh no, San Diego.
Oh wow,
that was like the first one, I think.
That must have been 2017. It was December 2017 was San Diego Sales Boot Camp. Then I did one in Vegas 2018, and then I did one in Orlando 2019. And then Vegas, COVID brought that event to a grinding halt. After that, we didn't do it again in person for quite a while. So you came into Mastermind after that. So you were a profitable solo practitioner, but realizing that you wanted to move on. And that's, I think, the jump that people have to get their head around. We started to talk to members recently about this idea of there's different phases you're in. You're unviable, you know, and that's when I put this framework on the board, and it said, look, you're down here, you're unviable. And the staff were like, well, what does that mean? I said, well, usually that's somebody whose skills are not good enough, right? There's no way that person can climb the ladder. So if your skills are not good enough, your reputation is poor, and people don't want to come and see you, your business is unviable. But then what you typically find is the next step is a profitable solo practitioner, right? It's very difficult not to make money as a solo practitioner because you've got no outlay. You know, all of your expenses are lost in the car on the night when they get back in it. They walk to the car. You know, most of your profit goes back to the car. But if it's just you, it's very difficult, assuming you're priced reasonably and you haven't got crazy rent. It's very easy to be a profitable solo practitioner. The bit that's the difficulty is what we call the leverage line. How do you get above that? How do you get above that? I'm a solo. Michael's doing well. He's got 25 clients a week and he's charging $200. I'm making this up, but I'm doing well and I've got my own ship and I'm in charge of it. The challenge is the leverage line. How do I get above that? So what did you have to do? Just wrap your head around I needed people and I needed to just trust in the process? Like what happened next for you? You've started your business. You're doing well. Is there just a frustration there to go, I'm better than this?
Yes. There's a little bit of that. I forget, there was an aha moment. It was definitely told to me many times about, you know, how to manage time. But I was going through one of the kind of exercises. I think it was maybe a progress group or one of the coaching calls, but it's like, okay, you know, how do you maximize your time? How you can get more time to do these things? And I was just like trying to fit, okay, do that here, do that there, and trying to fit it into boxes. And then it's like, or you could get someone to do those things. And it, you know, just like, no matter what way I was trying to play Tetris with my time management and things I needed to do, it wasn't going to fit until I had someone take it off the plate. So yeah, kind of a culmination of, the frustration, just this doesn't work on paper, you know, being able to do these things. And then, I think hearing other stories from the group, people like, hey, everyone else, this person's at least broke even. Most people, they've made their money back, a significant contribution. So I was like, the risk is, minimal, or yeah, it's a trial, right? It's not a year salary, right? It's a whatever, couple month trial, right? So it's like, oh, actually the risk is none almost, right? Besides just maybe my time to invest.
So how long did you wait for your first member of staff?
That's embarrassing to say. What is that? 3 years. Well, 3.5. 3.5.
And then how long did it take for your second member of staff to come through the doors?
That she came through 6 months after that.
So 3 years to get the first one, 6 months to then get the second. I bet you the fourth or third came along even faster, and so on and so forth.
She came another 6 months after that.
The lesson there for people to listen to this who are apprehensive about hiring is that there's this epic sort of emotional block around hiring, and then you get a good one in your life and you realize, holy shit, look how much we're getting done, and the business starts to grow. So then the need for the second one is there, and it's pressing because of the work that the first one has allowed you to do to grow the business. So now all of a sudden hiring literally becomes like a training. And it's why there's many people on this podcast who literally say, I took 3 or 4 years to hire my first member of staff, and then before I knew it, I woke up 2 years later I had 10. And somehow it's 3 years to decide to hire one, but 2 years later I've got 10. And now I'm free. I'm not doing this patience. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing the other. So what did you hire? You hired a front desk person. Then what did you do next? Tell me about the order of hiring that you went through.
We got PT, second PT, virtual assistant in there as well. We had front desk, part-time ops, PT, second PT, virtual. And we have a couple of kind of tech assistants right now as well.
Yeah. So that's been a couple of years. What was the difference then for you? What did it do to your life? What did it allow you to do more of, to continue to grow the business? Because it's a sizable business now. You're doing fantastic. What did it allow you to do?
So, I mean, that's where it definitely allowed me to focus on kind of our growth vision, right? Execute on those things. I think the big one this last fall was starting to really focus on our marketing, and, our systems process with the team, consistency there. I think we were doing well, but really still cutting that short, because I was still kind of treating a little bit. And, since we were able to get the second PT and fill that, I was able to take that time and focus on building that out. And, that was kind of the big focus end of last year. And you could say, I think we actually think, oh, I'll have a lot more time to do. It just shifts. I still feel very busy right now because I'm like, okay, got to get the hire in. It just, I was always say, just kind of trading problems, better ones, so to speak, is or at least ones that we want. So now with what we did 6 months ago with our marketing and obviously the team doing well, now we got the wait list and trying to get the other PT in. So I'm spending a lot of time getting ready there. And, so it's definitely allowed me to obviously not in it as much, but definitely still trying to get some things, processes and systems going to support our growth.
Where do you spend most of your time now then? Because I imagine people listening to this who are sort of just at the point of trying to scale or kind of moving into that next phase. The challenge is, okay, I get it, Paul, I've got to step back, but what do I do with my time? And I think that's, to me, there's two challenges. There's the emotional block over getting hiring wrong and this scary kind of phase I've got to get into, but there's also the what do I actually do? Like I'm used to seeing 30 people a week, and I'm good at it, and I'm like appreciated for it, and I'm paid well for it, and people like me, Paul. But now I have to go off and do this business stuff. Like, what do I do? So where do you tell us a little bit about your week? What do you do?
Yeah, that's what I initially thought, and then once you get into the situation when you have team and staff, it just, a lot of it goes to supporting the staff and the management. Since we don't have the full ops anymore, I'm kind of the ops manager with the team. So team meetings, one-to-ones, making sure they're supported and helping them there as well. I think the more, I know you talk about all the time, but you realize, the leverage in them and the power if they're supporting, given the things that they need, that they smash it 10 times more than I ever would as a therapist. They are, but like I could confidently say they are, worlds above what I would be able to do, because, you know, they're able to focus their 100% attention there versus maybe me, maybe 50% in that session. Okay, I got to go over here, get ready for that management session. Okay, got to get the marketing over here, right? So again, it's just, you could be okay at a lot of things, or, you know, excellent at, you know, the top things. So yeah, so right now it's still a lot with team meetings. We do, you know, regular team meetings. We do kind of a kind of conversion sales meeting. Each staff gets a 1-to-1 each week as well. Obviously, you know, we've got the CMO, your team meet with as well. So, and then right now I am treating part-time, got pulled back in since the several week waiting list while we get this new PT. So that's where it's a little more jammed up than, you know, ideal, but that's kind of where we're at.
I think for a lot of people, it's as you were talking there, I've wrote a few things down. The idea that you think you can do it all, the ego, obviously the ego is in control there, but it does expose that the ego is huge when I think that I can do all of these things better than everybody else. And somehow I can defy all logic and sort of biology and energy and concentration and focus. I can defy all of that. And I genuinely believe I'm going to be able to be a brilliant PT, a brilliant marketer, a brilliant business owner, a brilliant coach for my team, a brilliant visionary, a brilliant operator of a business who understands metrics and is still at the end of the week being able to balance the books and do QuickBooks. And it's like, what the fuck? Like when you hear it, and it does expose who they are, you know, I mean this in the nicest possible way. It exposes where that person is at that moment. Their insecurity I've wrote down here is the ego has to be let go, but ultimately there is insecurity in holding on, right? If you think about it, people think that they are insecure and they can't let go. So when they think about not being able to let go, it's because they're insecure. It's actually, I think, the other way around. There's insecurity in holding on because it exposes that people can't handle the uncertainty. And I think that's what the best business owners do really well. You've been around you and you've got it in abundance. You've got a confidence in yourself that allows you to be able to, first and foremost, not take things personally if something doesn't quite go right. I can deal with it rationally. But secondly, I can fix it and I'll be okay. It doesn't define me if there's a staff problem or as a patient cancels or a bad review or there's a billing issue or whatever. It doesn't define me. It just is a sign that there's a system error or there's a design fault in my business or whatever it is that I can kind of fix and jump in and do something about. And I think that's, again, the more that you go into business and the more that you understand it, these are the sort of demons that you're battling with that really aren't just about people. It isn't just about marketing. It's your own understanding of yourself and why you can't make your decisions. So tell me, on the topic of hiring, biggest lessons you've learned. What's the Michael now talking to himself in 2018? He's now hired a good chunk of people. What's the best lesson you've learned about hiring people that you could share?
I think it's okay. I think it's, we have a great team now, really blessed with them, really, high, I would say, our A players I know I've talked to you about. But I think looking back at, you know, some of the turnover too, that, you know, as long as people come in, and I think you've said it too, you know, contribute to the company and leave it a little bit, you know, better than it came, you know, that's good. And then not, you know, everyone is right for the business at the stage. So I know we've talked about, okay, hey, maybe that front desk has been good to help you build up solo practitioner, but is that the same person that can do 2 to 3 PTs? Likewise, right? Because the business comes in and realizing that, hey, that's okay, that person that's been great for you for a year or two isn't great for you where you're at now. So that was one when we did have to let someone go that came to the realization, and, you know, we invested a lot of time, and that person was obviously cared a lot about this, but it came down to like, hey, here's what I need. Can you deliver? And so that was one. That's and then I think along with that, a lot of times when someone leaves or you have to let someone go, you feel like, oh, how's this gonna, you know, is it ever gonna be like it was before? And I think if you follow the process, you know, the hiring process, obviously in the book there, and really stick with that, and look at the values, don't rush it. I think you'd be surprised what you can find there. And I think, yeah, each one you learn from the past ones. So you're like, okay, here's what the other person had trouble with, and put them in those kind of situations and the questions and try to figure out if they've had that experience or dealt with that before. So you kind of use each past one to build on the role and kind of develop the questions around that. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. I've got a couple I wouldn't mind sharing with you. As I asked that question, I think, oh, what's my best lesson? So I do put myself on the spot.
Yeah.
Anytime that there's been an absence of accountability in a role, it never ends well. Ever. It never, ever, ever ends well has been one of my biggest lessons. I've got a second. Number two is I've got a sign on my wall now, and it's from I'm a big Liverpool fan, I think, as you know. Jurgen Klopp, who's just left Liverpool recently. One of his great phrases is, it's not so important what people think when you come in, it's more important what they think when you leave. And I've now got it imprinted on the walls of my office. And new employees get walked around, and we say, right now, basically, everybody thinks the sun shines out of your ass. We've given you a job on the basis that you've presented to us who you are and what you are, and we think you're going to solve our problems. But what matters most is what people think when you leave here. Now you have a choice as to how this ends. This ends really well and respectfully, and you could leave, and we've got a girl who's leaving in 2 weeks. It's ended brilliantly well. Nothing other than a relocation. Moved in with a partner. Too far away to travel. Totally get it. Respectful, done the right thing, handed her notice in, gone over and above, didn't check out before she left. She knew she was leaving months ago. She didn't check out. She was looking for another job in that period of time, but she hadn't checked out. She wasn't being a dick. She wasn't being a whatever, and she wasn't being lazy, and she didn't not care about the clients. She was brilliant. And I said it to her. I walked it to the wall and went, when you leave, we've all got good things to say about you. This is a success. And then equally, sometimes you have people who just walk out. They didn't give a shit. They checked out months ago. They took their pay packet, didn't care about the customers, don't care about their teammates, and don't really care about the company. And they'll take that same shitty attitude to the next business. They'll be kissing people's asses for 6 months, and then their real character will come out at the other end. And the last one I'll give you that I think I've learned, the difference between motivation and inspiration. That I can't motivate anybody, no, not one. And I wish I'd learned this earlier, that my job is not to motivate my staff, but I can inspire them to slightly higher levels of performance. And if you really understand that, what it does is it means as a leader, you start looking for the inspirable people out there that are there. They're not as easy to find as you'd think, but to think that I can motivate you if you're in my team, even as a coach, Michael, I can't motivate you. I might be able to inspire you. You might look at my life or how I think or how I act or how I behave, and that might just nudge you up a notch, right? And we all need that in our lives. But if you're expecting me to motivate you to get out of bed, or motivate you to build a follow-up funnel, or motivate you to hire somebody, I can't do that. You had to find the motivation to do that. Now, maybe because you watched me for years and I'm hiring somebody else, and I'm hiring again, and I'm hiring again, and I'm hiring again, you're like, oh shit, this guy's inspiring me. Right. But you have to find the motivation to do that. And I think as a business leader, I wish I'd learned earlier that I have to look for people who are inspirable and then get on with inspiring them, but I can't motivate them. And I think the ones who are motivating is spending too much energy on losers, basically, who are struggling to get out of bed, who've always got a problem, who never want to do A or B because they're not motivated about life. They're just, luckily their heart works for them and their fucking lungs work for them. Like if it didn't, they probably wouldn't even be motivated to fucking breathe after the population. But that's another story for another day. So talk to us about it. We had you at the Ultimate CEO competition. For those who are not familiar with that, we run an event every year in Orlando, PPM, and we recognize the top CEOs in the community, in the Planet Pod community. And Michael applied, and he was one of the 5 finalists, and rightly got to showcase the success of his business to the 200+ audience. What was that experience like, getting on the stage? And you got to meet Marcus? Did you get your picture taken with Marcus?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that experience. What was it like getting on stage in front of all those people?
Yeah, it was a very, I was very nervous going into it. Usually no problems kind of speaking in front of groups, but stage is a little different. I think I told you afterwards, I'm impressed when you do events even more now, because it was a blur. Like I get up there, the lights, and I felt like time warped, and I just transported to the end, and I didn't even know if I said anything I wanted to. But the process was great, because I think we are, I'd say we all say we're very busy, but that going through that made you kind of sit down and really kind of look at, reflect on what you've kind of the process, some of the decisions made, challenges, successes. So I think we all need a little kind of, I guess a little, recognition, pat on the back, like, oh yeah, hey, I think we easily feel like this is not what I want, right? It's the goalpost. Like I'm not reaching it. I'm not there. And then I think sometimes when you sit down, you're like, oh yeah, that I did do a few things all right. Or yeah, that is what, if I went back a year, it's like, oh yeah, this is what I wanted. Or you know what I mean? So I think that was the nice thing about me just going through that process and kind of thinking about it and some of the questions you guys had around the business the last year. So I think just we all need that a little bit, as this journey, as you know, can be
100%.
challenging and just fast, and where's it go? And
it's why I love people doing it, because they get a chance to probably prove to themselves how far they've come. I mean, what, you're 7 figures or just about there, just possibly beyond it, whatever this year you're going to go past it. I think from a startup, you're a startup cash pay, fully out of network. Fully out of network, yours?
Yeah, it will fully cash pay.
Fully cash pay, 7-figure business, 5-6 staff, freedom, beautiful kids, traveling, living the life that you want. Like you said, keep yourself to yourself. Don't pay much attention to what's going on in the world. Very much kindred spirits to my life and my type of existence. And when you really sit down and you look at that and you think, I did that. I just wrote an article, actually, you'll get it in the next few days in the Planet Paul magazine, and it was around Nike's slogan is just do it. And mine is a recognition of I did it. Like I did it. Like I did it, right? And you look back at your journey and you go, yes, you've had help with the staff and all of those types of things, or from the staff, but you hired them, you took the risk, you put them on payroll, you did it. And I think there's nothing more important than sitting down and recognizing that and building your own credibility and your own character and your own story, not to the point where you become arrogant or flash or an asshole or obnoxious, but in a truthful way that recognizes that Michael did it. Michael started the business, took the risks, had the fear, had the doubt, took the swing, and made got a few things wrong, but picked himself back up and got on with it anyway. Of which one of the things, and this is where I'm going to get onto it, at that same event. So again, to bring everybody into this, at that same event, I pitched an idea to the room about creating a super workshop, a workshop on steroids, where your traditional workshop is you bring 20 people into the room and 15 people buy at the end because they've heard from you and you've told them a good story of PT. Love that. Still works like crazy to this day. Certainly, in my opinion, probably better since COVID, to be honest. Pre-COVID, it was good, but certainly recently it's working very, very well for people. And I had the idea that we create a super workshop where it was this health heroes, and we would get 5 patients and we'd interview them and we'd talk to them about their secrets of being active. So people in their 70s and 80s, and we'd get 30, 40, 50 people together, and the press would come and we'd video it and we'd put it on social media and we'd get a celebrity and we'd add a little kind of sugar on top of the cake, if you like, of this workshop. And I taught people how to do it. And I thought, I wonder how many people go off and do this. And Michael was one of the people that went off and did it. So tell me a little bit about then your super workshop. Tell me about your special guest, what it was like hosting your own event. Your own, you had the preparation for it at my event. What was it like hosting your own massive event, if you like, a dent in the community where people knew about it and there was a celebrity there and you were the star of the show, basically? Tell me about your Health Heroes event that you packed out.
Yeah, we kind of went through phases of emotions, I guess. A lot of excitement early, a couple months before. We confirmed our kind of celebrity guest. He's a ex-49er quarterback, Jeff Garcia, kind of a local guy as well. So, community-wise, everyone knows him. As it got closer, I think I mentioned to you, oh man, the event stress. I'm pretty low key, not stressful, but I was feeling the heat on the filling the seats, right? So I think a week before, we had all the automated emails go out and letting people know, boards in the office, but getting people to confirm to come is a lot more challenging. I know you've talked about it, but we had like 5 people, I think, the week of. So I'm like, oh my God, I have this stage, I have this awesome celebrity. We got the videographers coming, and I think I would talk to 5 people. This is going to be, interesting. And obviously the big turning point, which I think your boy said, we gotta follow up, and we got obviously our list of people that looked interested from emails, and then we just got on the phone that week even more to get people to confirm. So we say we had, I think, 25 people there, which is full for our space. And yeah, obviously the big thing was to get the content so we could create that documentary and book around it, which we'll be doing. So so yeah, great success. I think I think being up there, I think like you said, it actually was pretty fun and kind of I enjoyed it, and I wasn't stressed out at all. But yeah, leading up to it, it's like, how's this going to be? Are people going to enjoy it? And we got some great feedback. I think that was the part that exceeded the expectation. I wasn't sure how some of the speakers were going to engage. Are they going to give us kind of bland answers to the questions? But everyone was really just insightful, and I think that's just probably a test to, we found people that are really devoted to long-term health and longevity, which is kind of the whole thing, right? And so the attendees were just like, oh my God, I got so much out of it. People are inspired. Some of the people that are on edge, like, yeah, I gotta come see you. And, because there's a story of Ellen and her knee, that's just like me, so it's kind of the level up of that kind of, kind of case study, so to speak, at least for the people there. But then again, we'll be able to use that for, the years to come for that content, which is the big part.
It's funny when we were talking about it, and I think you said to me, like, now I know how you feel about these events, and it's a big thing. Do you know? When I get to the event, when I get to my big events, so there's 100 next week in London, and we're still selling tickets to this day. People will buy, right? There'll be another 5 before next Thursday. In fact, somebody will show up who'll buy on the morning at 9 o'clock, who'll get on the train and come down at 12 o'clock, right? That happens every time. And somebody will probably turn up on the Saturday. We'll leave the option to buy open probably all weekend, and somebody will come down on the Saturday. And it's just where people are, that they just struggle to sort of sometimes decide and make decisions, but you just have to empathize with that, and that. But it's what I've preached from day one: the fortunes in the follow-up, and it's back to the ego. You send an email and nobody books. Oh, nobody wants to come, and you take it personally. And you go, well, hang on, maybe they're just busy. Maybe they just can't decide yet. Maybe they're just not sure yet. Maybe they just don't know enough yet. What if we put ourselves into their shoes? And so when you run these events, and I have to talk to the staff all the time about it, it's like, why don't they just book? Like, my staff will be like, why? They've gone to the order form. They said they were going to book, and then they didn't. I'm like, well, that's what we do. That's what you do. That's what we are. It doesn't mean that they're bad leads or they're bad customers. It's like, they're nice people. They're good people. They're busy. They've got shit going on in their lives. So it just takes, again, an understanding of who people are and where they're at in their lives. And it's the same in, why didn't they book an appointment, or why did they not show up, and why did they say they'd call back? Well, they're busy. The fortunes in the follow-up, like I've said from day one. But when I do these events, I've got my train booked to go down to London on Thursday morning, and I cannot wait to get on the train. And like, Natalie and the kids are coming, and we'll go down together, and she'll be like, oh, you're ready, are you ready for the weekend? It's going to be hard. I'm like, no, this is the easy bit now. Like, getting into the event and like talking to 100 people for 3 days, that's the easiest. It's so much fun, and it's like so energizing and everything else. But selling the tickets and getting people to get to the events, like, you could put bloody Donald Trump on there, and it would still be struggled to, well, Trump might be a bad exception, right? But you could put Biden on, or somebody like well famous, and like, you still have to sell tickets. The analogy or the irony is, everyone thinks everyone's just going to show up. It doesn't matter. I could put Will Smith on there. I could put bloody Brad Pitt, and it's like, well, I'm busy, but I'll see if I can come. It's like, no, but it's like, it's Madonna. I've got Madonna. Well, I'll let you know. There's probably only Taylor Swift that I wouldn't have to sell any tickets for. Like, that would be the only person in the world right now, I think, that I wouldn't have to sell any tickets for. So, or certainly try for. But the lesson is, the fortune's always in the follow-up. And if you really want to be successful in business, there has to be like a tenacious attitude, or there has to be a resilience, and almost the attitude is, you will be my client. We just haven't agreed the date and time. Whether it's workshops, whether it's discovery visits, whether it's marketing, whether it's Facebook leads, whether it's Google leads. In the end, that's what separates people from, I did okay in business, but I struggled, to like, I smashed it. But it comes with a level of tenacity and resilience that I think, again, I wrote about it in my accelerator, my recent book, The Extraordinary Achievement. That's the difference, the tenacity and the tenaciousness that people have or don't have. The successful ones have a speed of decisions. They can make good decisions, and they can deal with setbacks better and faster than other people, because they're more, they're more resilient. So what's next? What's next for you, Michael? What's next? What's the big ambition for the business next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, I think the message has been clear, having that right-hand person Number two, kind of being able to basically the ops role. You know, I'm still wearing some of that hat, and it's still in operations, even though I'm not treating. So it's still taking me off the ball as far as our growth vision, kind of big projects. So
Yeah.
right now, I think I mentioned coming out to Jersey, good timing, potentially developing our current front desk admin into that role.
Yeah.
He's obviously been very successful in that role since he's joined on September. He loves all the Paul Goff stuff, so I don't think you'll be able to scare him with any rants. So
I'll try. I do try to scare them out in the first morning. Yeah. What's his name?
Mikey, actually. So it's
Mikey.
but he goes by Mikey, so it's a little, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pick on him. I'm gonna call him out all weekend.
Yeah. But really engaged in kind of what we're about, and obviously the learnings I get from you guys. So good signs there, and it's kind of that right along. So it's not like a for sure, but I think kind of getting him exposed. Here's kind of what it's about, and obviously the content around the growth of the business is good timing as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk through team development, 3 specific areas. Basically resetting the values, cliche, but so important. That if I've got 6 people in my team and we've all got different views about what's important around here, nothing happens. We've just got a tangled mess. We've just got a ball of wool. We're trying to break out and we're trying to grow, but someone's pulling me back. So if I don't get a reset of the values and get everybody on board with that, and we're going to go through some exercises on how to do that, not just to talk about them, but ultimately everybody cohesive around them, so that we're all pushing the rock up the hill. How to lift the team in terms of its performance. So I'm going to spend some time teaching you how to be a better coach. So if I want my team to be better, then I've got to improve them. I've got to upskill them. And to do that, I have to become a better coach. So we're going to talk about different ways to become a better coach, which is kind of primarily my job now with, all I do. I moonlight as a podcaster and a speaker and stuff, but behind the scenes, I'm trying to get more lift in terms of the performance from my team. And the third element really that we're going to look at that's important is leverage. So how do we stop Michael? The challenge that you will have as you bring more people in is how do you not become an abdicator and become more of a delegator? And what's the framework? What's the process for Michael becoming a better delegator, not an abdicator, so that he gets more leverage from the team, so that we don't end up how most people are, where they've got 10 people on payroll, but they're still busy and they're still doing too many things that the 10 people that they hired thought that they were going to do. So it's a team development weekend focused on those 3 things: complete rock solid cementing and kind of unification around the values in the business, so everybody's on the same page; how to become a better coach so you can genuinely help your staff become better at their jobs; and then ultimately, how do we get leverage from that same team as well? So the monkey doesn't come to Michael. It's like the door opens, Michael, I've got the problem, and Michael goes, oh, I'll solve it. No, you go over there, just come back to me by here, make sure you've got this and make sure it looks like this, or whatever. That's what we are going to be focused on in Jersey. So it's a little bit different. It's not your typical kind of marketing seminar, if you like. It's the business end of the business, and it's definitely for real business owners. So we're excited to have you, because that, I think, is the journey that you're on. You're at 7-figure level. All right, the next goal, 2 million, 3 million, whatever, 2nd clinic, 3rd clinic. The difference will be that good manager that you can trust, that lets you be the visionary and continue to develop the business. So last question. You've been around for a while in the Planet Paul world. What's the number one thing you've learned from me? I always like to ask this question. I always love to know how I've made a difference. What's the thing that you've got of all the things I've taught you over the years? What's the one thing where you go, I'm glad I paid my money for that?
Yeah, there's a lot of Paulisms I hold on to, so it's going to take me a couple.
Do your kids speak English yet? Do they swear in English?
They scream in English? I don't know if they swear.
I always know I've made an impact when somebody says to me, my kids swear in English. My kids have started to use language. Obviously, people listen to my podcast, and there's the occasional cursing or French, as we like to call it in England. We'll say it's French when we speak in a language. And if your kids have picked up on that, then I've definitely made a good impact on your life somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, it's probably not like a specific sentence line, but more of like the thinking around, people in general, that they come with certain beliefs, perspectives, not right or wrong, but I think we tend to either judge that or analyze that. But it's just, just almost like a different side of the world, and you have to kind of take that with what it is and not let that affect you as, oh, why are they thinking that, or how's that, am I wrong? And it's just, people are just seeing things differently. I think obviously the example around, let's say, the cash pay, right? There's this kind of philosophical idea around insurance, and why does some person think, oh yeah, I'll happily pay that, and the other person not. So it's not about, our offer or our cash. It's just kind of their understanding around that, and same with, obviously anything else around kind of the philosophy of things, or thinking. So I think that way it just helps easily take any emotion out of it, separate ourselves from kind of the outcome, so to speak, a little bit. So yeah, kind of I don't know if that made any sense, but I definitely feel like that has helped.
It does. Yeah, it does. Again, it's reflective of my journey, Michael. It's the thing that we're talking about there is consciousness, right? Without getting too woo-woo or going off on anything like that. There's almost an awakening of self, right? You're the first day that you begin, I think, to make real improvements in yourself. So I experienced it as a business owner. The first day that my income really started to move was when I stopped thinking of myself as a physio and I became a marketer, period, right? And whether that's something that anybody likes listening to this podcast, there is an undeniable truth in every business owner's life. The day you move from being the guy who does the thing to being the marketer of the thing, your income 10x's. That is true, and it's true in every business, whether I'm a dentist, whether I'm a physio, whether I'm a doctor, whether I'm a pool cleaner or a mechanic. If I'm cleaning the pool, I can earn $25 an hour. If I become a marketer for a pool cleaning company, I can earn $250,000, bringing in $2 million a year for the pool cleaning company business. That is a fact. And anybody who tries to violate that struggles, right? But they do, because of academia, and the colleges have taught them that that's not true, and some lecturers told them that it's sleazy to market and to be salesy and all this bollocks that goes with it. Meanwhile, there they are struggling to pay off a fucking student loan debt, influenced by a lecturer struggling to pay off his or her debt still, right? It doesn't take rocket scientists to figure out that this shit doesn't work. So for me, the marketer was the big shift. But from a personal point of view, the biggest shift, and it coincided with studying marketing because I had to understand people, but to understand people, I had to understand myself. The biggest shift was the awakening, where I became a lot more reflective, and I realized most people are unconscious. Like they're unconscious, they're awake, but literally sleepwalking their way through life, no clue about their emotions. Like you almost feel like you have to shake people. It's like, can I shake you just to get you to wake up, to understand what's going on? So the more that you understand people, it actually, if you've understood people better and what they're saying and how they're going to react, and you're probably 2 steps ahead of their objections or their no's or their bullshit or whatever it will be, that actually means that you've probably come out of your own unconsciousness. Like you've woken up in order to recognize all of this going on. But to recognize it in other people, you had to recognize it in yourself first. And that's where I would say all of life's enjoyment comes from. If you can get to that point where you can recognize the shit going on in your own emotions, and you can be calm, and you can spot your own failings, and you're aware of who you are, and all of that stuff, then you're significantly more likely to enjoy your life, because you're not consumed by shit. So I think it's a vital tool to have in the belt, because you're going to have a lot of shit going on in business, and the more that you can be aware of it and them and people, and the predictable or unpredictableness of people, which actually is predictable, like the more that you see it, predictably irrational, as the book goes, it's much easier to enjoy the game of business. So it doesn't surprise me, and it's certainly one of the things that I try to share with people, is to just a better understanding of themselves and enjoy life because of that, and become a better dad because of it, and a better business owner, and people want to hang out with you, and it's easy to inspire a team who want to follow you, and boom, so many good things happen as a result of that when you become more conscious to your the beliefs that are serving you well. Not, as I believe, this is just my opinion, but I believe most people are unconsciously, hypnotically stuck in a rhythm of belief patterns that aren't serving them well, that they have no clue is happening, and there is no end, which why it doesn't make any difference who the government is. It doesn't make any difference whether you tax me more. It doesn't make any difference whether Biden wants to tax my wealth, or Governor Newsom over there wants to tax me for fucking breathing when I get to a certain point of taxation or income. It makes no difference whatsoever to people's real predicament, which is they're stuck in an unconscious rhythm of negative beliefs false views, outdated views of themselves, always believing that the problem is out there. Newsom and Biden and Trump and all these guys are brilliant to tell you that the solution is external, when really the actual solution is always internal. And if you fix that, the money side of it becomes very, very easy. I'm yet to see very few people who didn't fix the internal shit that got the money. Now, they might have won the lottery, they might have got an inheritance, they might have been lucky, but it's very difficult for us to replicate that. But you can replicate it when you figure out your own shit internally. And you deal with your own shit, and you stand up and go, hey, this is who I am. Musk, I'm not a huge fan, for or against. He is what he is, but I get the impression he's figured his shit out. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit, rightly or wrongly. He doesn't give a shit what you think. Doesn't care. And this is what I'm going to do, and this is where I'm going. That guy's figured his shit out. Like, whether I agree with his opinions or his ways of running a business, how he deals with his staff, whether I agree with his 9 kids and his 16 wives or whatever, it's not for me to judge. But I'd be pretty certain that guy is nailed the internal thing where he's just like, that's who I am, that's what I'm about, these are the decisions I'm going to make, and that's where I'm going with my life. And I bet you he's a pretty happy guy, having a little bit of fun, versus somebody who's a bit miserable and broke. At least he's having a go, So I'm fully in favor of people who are living their own lives, as long as they're not reckless and they're not intentionally going out of their way to hurt people. We can all have different views and different opinions of how we think a business should be run or what politics should be or whatever. But if you're trying to think that you can fix somebody's predicament with a higher tax bracket over there in California. What did I read recently? Newsom was, I don't know if this was recent, but I don't think I've ribbed California for a little while, but it was something to do with when I hit a certain level of income, I'm going to pay more for my gas or my electricity in California. I don't even know if that's come in yet. But I'd read that's one of his brainwaves that I, as a higher income earner, should be paying twice as much for my electric as a punishment. It's not fair, even though I use the same level of electric as the guy in a different part of California, because I have a higher income bracket. I should be punished for having air conditioning. That's what it was. It's
not surprised.
It's not something that I should have worked for and be allowed to decide whether I want my AC on at 60 degrees all night or all day. I should be punished for having that ability to do it. I've got off my ass and gone to work and nailed my shit together, but I'm punished and I have to have my aircon on at 80 degrees with everybody else, because that's not fair if I'm cool at night, nobody else is. What world do we live in?
I guess I'm raising my rates again.
Good.
Yeah,
I hope you do. That's the moral of the story. It's the answer to most of our problems in business. We just don't charge enough to provide the level of service that people want or to make it worthwhile. So, but anyway, Michael, I love it. Where can people find out more about you? Where's your Instagram, your Twitter, and all of that good stuff?
Where we P3 Athletic is our Instagram. And that's it. Yeah, I can't say I'm personally a huge social person, but that's where our business Instagram is. And so you'll see me, I guess, a couple of videos on there about content.
One thing I've learned as I do this and I interview more people, some of my most successful clients, that phrase that you've just used, the number of times that gets used, I don't even know what my Instagram is. I'm not a big social person. I'm not out there all of the time. I'm not. Most of my social stuff is obviously staff who post things. Anything else is just occasional pictures for family. But I'm not on it. I don't really know what the business's handles are or anything. And it's a good sign that you just focused on the most. Let somebody else know what the password is for Instagram or what the at handle is or whatever it is, So good. At P3 Athletic, we'll put all the details in the show notes. So, Michael,
message me. You guys want to talk business or anything?
Get in touch. About their about your workshops and how that went, and what you've learned from that. I think you are a star, Michael. You've done absolutely amazing. It's been a pleasure to watch you grow. Seeing you on stage in Orlando last year was fantastic, and to sort of be alongside you, if you like, for the ride when you put your Health Heroes workshop on, watching you interview a celebrity and owning the stage like you did. It's amazing. It's a pleasure to do my job when I get to work with guys like you. It's just it's fantastic. And I said this recently, I see so much of myself now in you guys, and the sort of ambition and the aspiration, and I think that's the glue for me as I do my job. I just love it and love doing these podcasts so I can find out a little bit more about you and be inspired myself as a result of the journey that you're on. So fantastic. Well done.
Thank you. I look forward to the Paul statue trophy.
Yes,
I'll take gold.
Note to Lester who's listening to this in the marketing team. We have to come up with some kind of Hall of Fame award. You've been officially entered into the Hall of Fame. You are number one in the official list. There's many before you who have kind of followed the path, but you're the first official. I think we need a T-shirt, Lester, and at least a T-shirt and some kind of gold. I'm thinking like BAFTA style thing. Like we'll come up with something for you to put in your office. So thank you.
Love it.
You will have a T-shirt, Lester. We need a T-shirt for New Jersey. Official first ever Hall of Fame guest. Love it. Michael, thank you. All right, I'll see you in Jersey.
Thank you, Paul.
Have fun.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Say hi to Governor Newsom for me.